welcome to the episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, live every Monday night, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time on our YouTube channels. Also, I think we still stream through Twitch, if I'm not mistaken. Hope you guys had a great, fun, safe, loving weekend. Hopefully, you guys are ready for some wrestling talk. Definitely drop your questions, comments, or concerns inside that chat box. Anything you guys do or give is absolutely greatly appreciated. It was a weekend of wrestling. I'm going to drop a TNA Rebellion reaction video as well, so make sure you guys, check back or, Superman punch that like and subscribe button to get notifications when we do so, and along with the other podcasters when they publish, new content as well. So, all great show for you today, all lined up. We're going to start off with some WWE Smackdown review. Then we're going to segue into Zelina Vega wins her, first championship gold. Very emotional, very awesome. Can't wait to, talk about that. Then we're going to talk about Pat McAfee and Gunther. Gunther chokes out Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee is, he said he's going to be back tonight. I have not watched Raw, have not checked a single shred of social media. Sometimes I get home late from work. And I'm one of those wrestling fans that, straight up, I like to be surprised. I can read the review and be like, I don't know, I get a little bummed out. So I'm going to watch Monday Night Raw as soon as, I'm done with the podcast and drop a video based on my review. And make sure you guys sound off in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Then we're going to talk about a post-WrestleMania pressure cooker for the men's division as well as the women's. After I kind of see WrestleMania as kind of like the Super Bowl, like in the NFL. What are you going to do? Not really an off season. You kind of jump into the next season. So I'm going to talk about seven superstars, men's and women's, that are under the most pressure to achieve greatness over this next year, heading into WrestleMania 42. So all fun. Definitely want to hear what you guys have to say, your opinion. Who do you think should be under the pressure cooker, who I'm not mentioning, or if you want to drop your opinions, 1,010% would absolutely love that. But before we get on into anything, I just want to remind you guys to go ahead and hit up that tips and donations link. Also, hit up those super chats. This show is all about keeping the conversation lively, making sure you guys feel like your voice is part of the mix. So if you're dying to get something off your chest in terms of professional wrestling here at the GSMC Sports Network, we are all ears. Drop your thoughts inside that chat. And if you really want to make sure your comment, question, or concern gets noticed, like I said, use that super chat. If not, just, chat away. It's okay. Give if you can. If not, let's just still talk about wrestling. Your guys' comments is, currency enough. So, definitely appreciate you guys. But yeah, just click that $sign right there if you want to give. Plus, it's a great way to support the channel. Great way to keep the podcast going. Great way to keep all these amazing, passionate podcasters who definitely want to achieve a career in in the sports entertainment business, broadcasting, and or whatnot. So make sure you if you guys could spare some change, definitely throw us a bone here and there. We are super grateful for each and every one of you guys, whether or not you decide to donate. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going. Let's get this party started. Send in those super chats and those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome, and together we will make sure this is the most interactive, funnest wrestling podcast out there. Of course, there's a whole lot of awesome wrestling podcasters out there, streamers that are pretty badass. Definitely, your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, always available. Chat about wrestling Monday night, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into our first segment. We got Monday night. We got Friday night SmackDown review, and overall I feel like it was a great show. Obviously, the SmackDown after WrestleMania, there was a couple of moments like the men's tag team and Zelina Vega's win that I was like, these matches and these outcomes are they should have been WrestleMania worthy. I can damn near guarantee that if they were on either night 1 or night 2, the WrestleMania card, it would have went up of like at least a half or a full grade point, because right now WrestleMania, I kind of have them at like a B or B minus. It had a couple of great moments. Obviously, nothing lives up to Cody Rhodes finishing his story at WrestleMania 40, so it's kind of a hard pill to swallow. But yeah, it is what it is. So the show kicks off with Randy Orton and John Cena cutting a promo. I gotta be honest, I was a little, I want to see these two guys go at it. Cody Rhodes, seems like he's taking a little bit of time off, and when will he revoke his rematch clause? Maybe SummerSlam and he gets the belt back from Cena, I'm not too sure. Or Saturday night's main event, just something that WWE is planning to make into something absolutely grand and, totally awesome. I love the way that Randy, I love the way the fans respond to Randy. For the first time in their careers, John Cena is the heel and Randy Orton is the babyface. Maybe there was times where both of them were baby faces, but there's never been a time where John Cena was the heel. And, John Cena on the mic, damn near, perfect. Looked like Randy Orton was a little, he looked like he was a little flustered. If he didn't, come out on top, hit that RKO at the end, I gotta be honest, I'd be like, damn, it looks like Randy Orton got cooked a little bit here. But, building up momentum, Randy Orton is going to challenge John Cena for that undisputed WWE Championship at Backlash in St. Louis, his hometown. So it seems perfect for him. Are they going to put the belt on Randy? I'm not too sure. I think John Cena is going to continue his heel ways, find a way to get himself disqualified, and then, of course, that's how that's all going to end. Nathan Frazier and Fraxium make their debut on SmackDown. I got to be honest, I thought they would have been better to revive the Raw tag team division, because right now SmackDown's tag team division is absolutely, it's bonkers. It's pretty badass. But I can see why WWE would do it. Be like, okay, let's make SmackDown, the go-to spot for tag team wrestling, and it's kind of crazy how the World Tag Team Championships got a match at WrestleMania, and then the WWE Tag Team Championships didn't. Although SmackDown's tag team division is a lot more interesting, to say the least. But they picked up the win against Los Garza. It was pretty badass. I love Nathan Frazier and I love Axiom. I definitely want to see this tag team do good things in WWE. Well, on SmackDown they're already in WWE, but one of the main rosters. So congratulations. That's like getting that first win. Getting that monkey off your back, I guess you can say. Take the lid off the trash can. I'm just kidding. Moving on. Tiffany Stratton comes out, cuts a promo, basically saying how she's not the next Charlotte Flair. She is, basically she's her. She's going to be she's the face of the women's division. She was confronted by Jade, and I would love to see these two girls go at it. And we kind of, we got a nice little, preview there. We had a nice match. It lasted like, 2 commercials, which was pretty badass. I definitely want to see these girls go at it in the future. But like I kind of thought, Naomi and Jade still have some unfinished business. I feel like this feud will probably run till maybe Backlash, maybe even more like Saturday night's main event. I hope to God they're not going to push it to SummerSlam, which I, definitely hope not. That would be pretty awful. But, it is what it is. Both of these girls are, all 3 of these girls are really trying to put themselves in the perspective of we are the face of the women's division. It's just plain and simple. Tiffany Stratton obviously getting the dub over Charlotte Flair. It was huge for her career. Jade Cargill was, she was running on all cylinders, got injured, took some time off of WWE, was World Tag Team Champions with Bianca Belair. She was doing good, and then, I don't know, in my opinion, I feel like her career kind of hit a little bit of a speed bump, her taking some time off. And Naomi, she has this newfound character, proceed, with caution tape wrapped around her body. So, if she's going to make it, if she's going to make a successful heel run, there's got to be something to give within these next couple of weeks. They're absolutely pivotal for Naomi's career. I've heard reports that she wants to take a step away from wrestling to pursue a family. Jimmy, too, is kind of, on the back burner in terms of the WWE United States Championship picture for the men's. So that could definitely be a possibility. Next, we have Jakob Fatu basically celebrating. He's the new United States champion. Solo Sikoa tries to take all the credit, but Jakob Fatu basically shuts him down. The fans are absolutely nuts about this guy, as they should be. He's very gifted and talented. He's good on the mic. He's literally Like he's better than Solo. He's better than Tungaloa. He's better than Tamatonga. What are they gonna do? Because I know Tamatonga got injured as well. So this whole Bloodline storyline, the new Bloodline, looks like they're basically done. I have probably at Backlash, Jakob Fatu taking on either LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, and then Solo Sikoa finds a way to kind of not stab him in the back, but like cost him, but like not like purposely. I don't think Jacob's gonna have the United States Championship on his shoulder for too long. And nothing against Jacob, just basically WWE storylines because it fits. It fits to have Jakob Fatu take on Solo Sikoa because Solo Sikoa is essentially, he is the guy that brought Jacob into the WWE, but most importantly, I feel like Jacob's kind of got to trim the fat a little bit, kind of go outside the family, kind of, like I said, Tungaloa was supposed to come back, but God only knows when, because Tamatonga's out now too. Without him having a tag team partner, he's just kind of lingering out there. Hikuleo still signed with with the NXT. Zelina Vega is still not on not on the main stage in WWE. Journey Fatu, I guess, left New Japan Professional Wrestling, so maybe there might be something there, maybe not. Jeff Cobb as well. With this whole Samoan dynasty, I don't. It's crazy. It is crazy, 1,010%. And I love Jakob Fatu. I feel like he would be an amazing champion, but I feel like he's gonna drop the belt because of Solo, thus starting their feud. Because Jacob looks really dominant right now, and I feel like the fans, they love him as United States champion, but I feel like they want him and Solo to battle it out, more. So who knows? Maybe we'll see what's up. Next, we have Zelina Vega wins the Women's United States Championship. We're going to talk about that more in our next segment. Congratulations. That's pretty awesome. Aleister Black returns. He returns to WWE, just black massing The Miz. The Miz and Carmelo Hayes seems like they're on their simpatico at the moment. The Miz looks like he's kind of jumping into that managerial role for Carmelo Hayes, which is kind of shocking because Carmelo Hayes is him, and I can do whatever. I can be successful on my own. I'm the number one draft pick, yada yada yada. So it's going to be interesting the way they take this storyline into place. Next, we have Nia Jax confronting Naomi, basically saying, "Don't get him. You and Jade might be dealing with your guys' dirty laundry, but do not get in my way." And Naomi basically told her to go F herself, to proceed with caution. If she stumbles upon Nia Jax, Naomi, could kind of go off. Next, we have a match between the LA Knight and Drew McIntyre, which was interrupted basically because of the United States title picture. It's going to be interesting to find out what match they have at Backlash. A lot of people were anticipating, like I saw a post on Instagram earlier today that maybe like a six-pack challenge or something like that. Maybe perhaps maybe like a fatal four-way would be pretty awesome. You have all these opportunities in different ways you can make this match completely amazing. You can have Aleister Black inside the fray, Carmelo Hayes, The Miz, you name it. This WWE Men's United States Championship picture is absolutely up in the air. It's open, and Jakob Fatu he's gonna have to do a lot to keep that title. Next, we have a TLC match. We have the Street Profits retaining their WWE Tag Team Championships against D.I.Y. and Motor City Machine Guns. This match was awesome. Like I said, this match belonged on at WrestleMania. Don't really know why they didn't really get the nod there, which sucks because I feel like they were building it up so much, the tag team division on SmackDown, because it was absolute garbage, much like on Monday Night Raw, the way it is right now. But I don't know. It's a little tough. It is a little tough. I get it. A stacked card. That's why you make it into night one, night two, and then of course let's just save it for the SmackDown after WrestleMania. Not upset about that. Definitely not upset about that decision because those shows are they're setting the tone for what's going to happen basically throughout like the next couple of months or a year for a lot of these superstars. So, definitely congratulations to the Street Profits. I love the fact that they are champions. They deserved it from a long time ago. But, I guess it's better late than never. All right, guys. So, hey, I promised we're going to talk about it next. We got Zelina Vega is finally a WWE champion. We're going to talk about it. So grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage. You're going to be here in about 25 seconds. So hey, do not go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday night live on the GSMC Sports Network, on both of our YouTube channels, also on Twitch. So make sure you guys Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. We definitely love and cherish the fans, and basically whoever subscribes is part of our podcasting bloodline. So make sure you guys smash that Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show, where we talk about all the action inside and outside the ring, all the backstage curtain calls, all the rumors, all the dramas. We talk about conspiracy theories, of course. That's what wrestling fans do. We post videos and get excited and stuff like that. I'm a dork, I still do that. We talk about superstar and active statuses, their injury updates, or contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings. Also releases as well. We talk about promotions from AEW to Stardom, New Japan Professional Wrestling to the GCW. We also dabble in some historical wrestling like WCW and ECW, even WWF. We also talk about, WWE. So if you're a wrestling fan, what are you waiting for? And go ahead and subscribe to us. Definitely 1,010%. And without further ado, make sure you guys, hit up that tips and donations link or that super chat. Whether if you have a burning question or hot take in terms of the world of professional wrestling, or something you've been dying to get off your chest, here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love, value, cherish your guys' opinions. We want you guys to feel absolutely welcome to, drop a chat. 1,010%. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. Plus, it's also a great way to support our channel, guys. Those super chats obviously helps us keep the lights on all these amazing podcasts with all these amazing, passionate podcasters who have one goal in mind: to make sure you guys consume all the amazing sports content that you guys love so damn much. Absolutely free. So what do you got to lose? We are super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here daily on the GSMC Sports Network. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep this party going. Send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And together we will make sure this is the greatest wrestling podcast in the world. All right, so without further ado, we're talking Zelina Vega, and congratulations to her. That's so cool. Finally, that's honestly really all I got to say. Finally, and that was our second segment. I'm just kidding. No, imagine that'd be so terrible. So obviously, you've all watched it. We talked about it. The Smackdown after Mania, we got a new WWE Women's United States Champion. It should have been. I think she should have had a title around her waist a long time ago. I definitely admire her grit. The definition of a soldier is probably, in the women's division is Zelina Vega. She's been a manager with Andrade. Then she was Queen Zelina, then fell off, then got injured. And I felt like, she was trying to get her career back on track. And it wasn't like she was a complete lux. It wasn't like she kept floating around Raw and SmackDown, just losing all the time. When she was a heel, I feel like she lost more as opposed to like when she was a babyface. She did have that amazing match at Backlash with Rhea Ripley where, she wasn't able to get, to win. But I think it was the one when they had it in Puerto Rico with Bad Bunny. So, definitely, all you really got to do is say congratulations, to a girl who literally, she kicked ass. She kicked ass, and she's been, like I said, she's been a consistent winner. It's not like, she went from like losing to be like, okay, why did WWE put the title around her waist, which was which is kind of crazy because she was never really awarded the title after everything she's kind of given to WWE. And I feel like she's been given a lot. She's always been on TV. She's always been cutting good promos. She's a good crap talker. She can shoot the stuff. When she was having that feud with Pure Fusion Collective and she made fun of Sonya Deville's forehead, that was pretty freaking that was pretty badass. That was pretty funny. But the match was pretty cool. Secret Hervis gets kicked out of the arena, which we kind of knew that's ultimately why or how Zelina Vega could basically have a chance to win fair and square, where she can showcase her talents without worrying about outside interference. The referee actually caught them pretty early. I thought Chelsea Green maybe could have got this like a cheap win. So I was like, okay, when she got when she hit her with that, when she was pinning her, and I was like, dude, no, this is gonna happen again. Poor Zelina. But Zelina Vega was able to hit her finishing move, which is Code Red, which is pretty badass, 1,010%. The Secret Hervis, I gotta be honest, Chelsea Green, I love Chelsea Green. I feel like she's 1,010%. I feel like she will stay relevant, although she is not the Women's United States Champion anymore. But the introduction of Alba Fire into the Secret Hervis with Piper Niven, I kind of felt like this was, this is something that should have happened probably like at the beginning of her championship reign, or that's the reason why she won the championship. Because now it just seems like it's Alba Fire's been with the Secret Hervis for about a month now. So, and obviously she lost her tag team partner Isla Dawn for the Unholy Union. So, they had to figure out a storyline for her, and it's perfect for her. I do love Piper Niven. I feel like she's an amazing competitor. Chelsea Green, she's still one of my favorite superstars. And then she's not the champion, but I see so much good things for Chelsea. And she has that an it girl annoying factor to her that a lot of wrestling fans, they love to hate so much. And her fans are like the most diehard fans because they will live and die by Chelsea. The State of the Union address, the United States Championship, all this hoopla, all this yada yada yada, political propaganda. I want to see this girl win the Money in the Bank. And during the match which she actually got pushed off a pretty high ladder and fell through some tables and looked like she got messed up, man. I think she got a holy crap moment. The holy crap, which is badass. She deserves it. I feel like she would be very beneficial as the women's Money in the Bank, because I'm thinking about it right now. I'm like, I don't really see Becky winning it. I don't really see Roxanne Perez winning it. Maybe Roxanne Perez might, but I think the person you got to bet the house on would definitely be Chelsea Green, 1,010%. But this WWE Women's United States Championship picture has been absolutely. It's been put through the trenches. You saw Chelsea Green take on Michin not once, not twice, not three times, but like 4 times at Saturday night's main event to crown the championship. Then Michin got her rematch, and then the street fight, with Alba Fire coming in, the dumpster match. You've seen Chelsea, with like B-Fab, but there was never really anybody who like made the who made the run more exciting. Not really her opponents. I felt like it was on Chelsea's shoulders, solamente only, which shouldn't really be that way. She did have a great match. I think it was with Sol Ruka on NXT. I thought that match was pretty cool, where Sol basically, she came so damn close, but Chelsea Green still was able to retain. So we have a new women's WWE United States champion, Zelina Vega, hitting the code red. This is her first singles title. Very emotional. She had an interview with Byron Saxton after her victory, and she just she just seems so grateful. Wrestling fan turned wrestler, passionate about her culture, passionate about absolutely anything. She really believes in herself, and you can kind of see that reciprocated the way she kind of holds herself up through the locker room, through her promos, and through her matches. So Zelina Vega, one of my favorite wrestlers. Even when she was with Andrade, I was like, you kind of need a nice manager. She could play that role too. She could play the heel. She could be the baby face, and that's something that could be kind of rare within a WWE superstar. Because in my opinion, 1,010%, Rhea Ripley when they were the Judgment Day with Damian Priest. When she was a heel, I know people love Mommy, you know what I mean, and they love her as a babyface. But for me, I don't know. It's I don't know. Her accepting that babyface role still seems a little a little far fetched, in my opinion. But I think Zelina Vega plays it well, and I feel like she's going to be absolutely amazing. She brought the title, like she said. She's going to bring the title to the LWO. She was proud to win the United States Championship because Rey Mysterio did that, Eddie Guerrero did that, and carry on the legacy. She did that as well. So right now we have the reign of Zelina Vega. I, for one, can't wait to see this amazing, young, talented superstar just continue to leave us wrestling fans in awe. A true inspiration to the world of wrestling and to Latin American culture. So congratulations to the new Women's United States Champion side. Round of applause, throwing flowers. So, soak it in. You deserve it, girl. All right, next we're going to talk about Gunther choking out Pat McAfee. Gunther literally suspended Pat McAfee, in the world of sports media. One of the biggest icons, obviously. I feel like, maybe he sold it a little bit too much, and when he was on the Pat McAfee. We'll get into it. So grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, and join me here in about 20 seconds. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday night live on the GSMC Sports Network, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, all the backstage curtain calls, all the rumors, all the dramas, all the conspiracy theories. We talk about superstar and active statuses, injury updates, contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings, also releases. We also talk about AEW, TNA, Ring of Honor, WWE, obviously, Stardom. If it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we cover it here on this show, 1,010%. So make sure you guys Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Share the show to a fellow wrestling friend. And, hey, tune in on Monday nights and we all could have a conversation. Make sure you guys hit me up, sound off in the chat section. Tell me how you guys feel about what I'm saying. Or just, a point that I miss. I am human, so if you guys want to, throw a bone to a show host, 1,010%. It'd be much grateful. All right, we got Gunther news. Gunther suspended, written off of WWE. What? Dealing with an injury? What? It's not that. According to reports, he's taking some time off, and he deserves it. He deserves it, 1,010%. There's nobody that deserves time off more than the workhorse that is Gunther. But that spot on Monday Night Raw, I gotta be honest, was a little shocking. It looked like maybe there was some kind of realism. I know Pat McAfee is, I know he is, he's an entertainer. He knows that realism within any kind of cinema, whether if it's film, television, or even radio and podcasting. You know what I mean, or social media. that what gets the fans into it. You know, his face was basically turning purple. You can definitely tell that probably before the segment, before the spot. He told Gunther, he's like, look, man, we got to make this real. His boys jumped over the guardrail, and I personally, like, the way I saw it, I thought it was like an actual, like, fans coming out to try to help Pat McAfee. Like, it was that real. And it looked like the WWE security was getting pretty physical with them. And that's exciting. That's cool. That's awesome. That's something that I love about professional wrestling, you know, blurring the lines between fiction and reality. That's what we sign up for. But Pat McAfee, I feel like this was... I feel like overall, you know, obviously trying to help out his boy, Michael Cole. He has a respect for Michael Cole. Michael Cole is a huge, you know, Pat McAfee fan. They're basically best friends. You know, they co-host Monday Night Raw, you know, on the Pat McAfee show. He's, Michael Cole has been on there a couple of times. Michael Cole has actually been on Impulsive as well, the Logan Paul podcast. So Michael Cole went from, like, after WWE started going international through Netflix, he was just like solamente like a WWE guy. And now you're seeing him on ESPN. You're seeing Triple H on ESPN. You're seeing wrestling talked about on ESPN, where back in the day, that was like a no-no. That was like, that never really happens unless like something big happens at WrestleMania or like something with The Rock, you know, then they'll get attention from Scott Van Pelt on SportsCenter or something like that. But usually that's not how it goes. And Pat McAfee is a huge, you know, he's a pivotal piece in ESPN right now within the sports, with the sports media industry right now. You know, I feel like, you know, he did host the draft. You know, he was there on Thursday from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Maybe this was a way to kind of write off Pat, to be like, look, the draft ends on I think Saturday or Sunday. I only watched the first round. That's it. And I'm like, oh, whoever, you know, which Shador Sanders got drafted, you know, on the third day, which is, kind of crazy. But, make sure you guys tune into the football podcast hosted by my man, Matt Quinn, to find out more about that. But overall, you know, I feel like maybe this was a way to be like, look, man, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it, you know, if I'm going to make it to Monday Night Raw. So, you know, as a potential, you know, maybe not, you know, let's just have me, you know, choke the F out and, I'll miss a week or whatever. Pat McAfee at the draft, actually, you know, there's been quite a controversy, quite a stir. I guess a fan took a picture of him, smoking something, looked like a vape. Maybe it could have been something like CBD, like cannabis or something like that. And then, quickly kind of put it away. But, it's not how it used to be, definitely with medical marijuana and stuff like that. And, you know, recently in wrestling, WWE, they dropped the ban on, medicinal marijuana. So, you know, a lot of people kind of use that instead of like pain pills. Prescription, pain medication, instead of, using pills. You can, smoke some herb, I guess, they're not really my style, or not something that I would definitely push as a philosophy of mine, but, it is what it is. It is what it is. To each your own, guys. That's just how it goes. But, Pat McAfee has actually created, quite a stir, because this was not really the first time that Pat McAfee has really done something, kind of like far-fetched and out there. He had, like I said before, he represents ESPN. He's a very pivotal piece in their sports media, has a 5-year contract, $85 million to consistently, keep his show going. So, homie's a player. College Game Day, he referenced, he drank a beer. And, maybe, like, sports media is still, maybe it's sensitive, maybe that they don't want people doing that. But, nowadays, where you can get your sports at literally absolutely anywhere, there's so many, sports podcasting in the sports media industry isn't what it was back in the day. There was very few, there's very few news media sources, but now it's just like so wide open to the point where, like, if you're having a guest, do something like this, it's not really bad or anything like that. Maybe, it's, I don't want to say cutting edge, because, it's just different, and it needs to be different. I remember Colin Cowherd actually said, and he, I definitely agree with it 1,010%. Don't worry about being right all the time. Don't worry about being right all the time. Definitely do your research. Definitely, make sure what you're spewing out isn't propaganda, isn't false news. But on top of that, the most thing you really got to do is be interesting. be interesting, 1,010%. If somebody needs somewhere just to get statistics and information, you can literally Google something on Sports Illustrated, ESPN, and then bam, there it is. The same person talking like a robot. Oh, he had 3 catches this day, or Tiger Woods hit another hole in one, or something like that. It's you just gotta make it interesting. And Pat McAfee, if you ever tune into the Pat McAfee show, or you see him on wrestling, you watch him on wrestling, he makes it interesting. So, definitely tip my hat to my guy. And right now, ESPN, in terms of the sports media, seems like they are kind of, Pat McAfee has been, it's been reported that he is feuding with Stephen A. Smith right now. Recently, he had an interview with LeBron James where they did mention, the fellow ESPN sportscast, which, you never really want to kind of throw your coworker under the bus or anything like that. But obviously, because of LeBron James's personal feud with Stephen A. Smith, bringing up Bronny James, and all that kind of stuff going down, like it's it could definitely Pat in like some hot water, but I feel like it will be kind of blown over. But I definitely love seeing Pat McAfee on Raw. I don't want to see him go anywhere else. He says according to reports that he's good to go tonight, so we might see him on Raw tonight. Like I said, I have not checked Raw. I have not watched it yet. Can't wait to see if Pat McAfee's on there. Other than that, might be Joe Tessitore, might be Corey Graves, but I don't know. Who knows? But anyways, Gunther, the former WWE World Heavyweight Champion, chokes out Pat McAfee. He gets choked out at WrestleMania, losing his World Heavyweight Championship. I gotta be honest, I really did not like this spot that Gunther was he was choked out. He tapped, like, what? Jey Uso hitting a sleeper hold? Like, dude, like, no Uso splash, no speed. Well, of course that was, it led up to it, but at the same time, it was like, dude, you really kind of had to steal the guy's mood to, obviously, maybe like a poetic justice of what this is what he did to Jimmy, but I don't know, I just didn't really like it. I thought it made Gunther, I don't know, kind of made his championship reign be like, oh, crash and burn. He's held the World Heavyweight Championship for over 258 days, and he was the Intercontinental Champion, setting the record for 666-day title run. So Gunther, like I said before, if there's anybody who deserves some time off, it's this guy. It's the ring general who has been carrying Monday Night Raw on his back. Because you got to remember, last year's WrestleMania, people were injured. CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, all Monday Night Raw stars, and then you have Gunther with the title. Damian Priest did a pretty good job holding the title as well. Obviously, Finn Balor screwed him over in that, but Gunther has been very entertaining. He's been one of the best heels. He's been such a bad guy. He's been like this, in a comic book or in a Marvel movie or Batman movie, whatever. He's been that, that classic. He's been that classic villain that we love to hate. But then some people, they have a niche for, sometimes what the villain is doing in his head, it makes sense. And sometimes it might appeal to a smaller niche audience. But then some people could run behind Gunther. I love Gunther. I think he puts on. There's not a match Gunther has that is bad. Like I said, the WrestleMania 41 one with Jay was yeah. But besides that, this guy puts on bangers after bangers, and nothing but good things to talk about Gunther. But he's been written off of WWE. He basically said in an interview that he plans to still wrestle for about 12 more years. Going to retire around the age of 50, so it looks like we're dealing, we're not dealing because it sounds like I'm painting a negative perspective of it. Look, we are privileged to get another decade of the Ring General, and he's great. And hopefully he, has some, take some time off, have fun with the friends, family, whatever you do, see each your own. I heard Jokic during the NBA offseason, he likes to hang out with his horses in Serbia. So, like I said, to each your own. Whatever happens, whatever makes you happy, man. Do what makes you happy. All right, so without further ado, we're going to jump on into our fourth segment. We have men's post-WrestleMania pressure cooker. I have 7 superstars in the men's division that really has to make the year 2025, early 2026, their B word, and we're going to talk about those guys when we come back. So grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, and join me here in about 25 seconds, or actually this one's a short one, for like 15 seconds, and I will see you.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC. to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday night live on the GSMC Sports Network to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling. Make sure you guys Superman punch that like and subscribe button so you can get a notification when we go live and publish new content. Well, guys, we recently talked about, some Zelina Vega. We talked about Smackdown. We talked about Gunther choking out Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee, obviously, awesome guy. I'm a LinkedIn, well, not LinkedIn, but I'm following him on all his social medias. He's an interesting character, and I feel like WWE is lucky to have him. That's my opinion, 1,010%. But without further ado, we got men's post-WrestleMania pressure cooker. So who's gonna be cooking slowly? Who's basically who needs to step up? First and foremost, when with the whole Paul Heyman thing and Seth Rollins thing, it makes sense. It made sense. Seth obviously in need of a Paul Heyman to be like a Paul Heyman guy to kind of get him into the next level. I forgot who said it. I think it was on the Busted Open podcast. I'm not too sure which host said it. But Seth Rollins is where Roman Reigns was before Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman helped Roman Reigns reach basically God, like superstar status here. And then on Monday Night Raw, CM Punk comes out, and then Roman Reigns comes out, and then you have Braun Breaker randomly come out. And I was like, you know what? Okay. Like, I get it. Like, I know WWE has kind of been shying away from, let's just make these guys total heels. I feel like you would, under the Triple H Paul Levesque era, he's taken a lot of influence from the, their sister company, UFC. There's some bad guys in UFC, but then they're not necessarily bad. They have their own fans. They have their own personalities. You like them or you hate them. That's just what happens. And Seth Rollins right now, people still cheer for Rollins. Braun Breaker was never a bad guy. I don't think he's going to be pictured as a bad guy. I feel like it would kind of hurt this trio with that perception. But where's it going to go? Where's it going to go? If there's a reason why these three came together, like let's make it happen. Let's find out, and I think it'll eventually find out. The Rock whiffed on WrestleMania 41 where you thought that we were going to get somebody to be like in his group with John Cena. And, are we going to see them go at it? You know what I mean? Is Roman Reigns and CM Punk going to be forced to team up to take down this new Paul Heyman regime? Or maybe they unveil a third guy. And then you have Brock Lesnar come back. And then you have the three former Paul Heyman guys, Lesnar, Punk, and Reigns, fight against the new Paul Heyman guys, Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker. And, I can't really make a guess on who a third guy would be at this point. I read reports saying that maybe it could be Trick Williams. I wouldn't really hate that. I feel like that would be great for Trick. But, he did his thing in, TNA once when Joe Hendry retained the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. He came out, made a statement basically saying that I'm coming for your title. Especially with the WWE draft around the corner, this could absolutely be... This could be different. This could be different. WWE, like I said, is it's in after WrestleMania. WrestleMania is like the Super Bowl, like the NFL, but they don't have an off season. They basically go into the next season, and I definitely feel like this trio, they're in the pressure cooker. Show us what this means. Show us how we should feel about this. Next, I got Damian Priest. A little pressure cooker. I'm cooking a little bit here. After leaving the Judgment Day, he came to SmackDown, promising start, was very victorious, got into this feud with Drew McIntyre, and, Drew McIntyre is obviously at superstar level right now. Damian Priest still kind of feels like he belongs in the United States Championship picture, but, recently losing against Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania in that street fight, which was very hard fought. Maybe there was a different outcome. I saw reports that Damian Priest basically, he punctured a lung or almost had a punctured lung where he felt like he couldn't breathe. But then again, like you saw those chair shots, and those chair shots to the lower back that McIntyre took, also Priest took. They looked pretty gruesome, man. It's crazy. But Damian Priest, I feel like this is going to, basically set the tone. Is Damian Priest going to be in the WWE Championship picture, back in the World's Heavyweights Championship picture, or is he going to kind of fizzle out? And not fizzle out meaning that I'm, crapping on the Intercontinental Championship and United States Championship division. All those guys, absolute bangers. Damian Priest, he wants to, kind of have the perception that he is a main eventer. He should main event WrestleMania. I'm telling Damian Priest, you got to show me what you got, kid. Next, we have the New Day. We have the New Day. We had them turn heel, break up, shoot down Big E, basically saying that, you broke your neck a long time ago. When are you coming back? You left us. You abandoned us. You broke your neck. So what? Like, where were you? Like, it was like little kid stuff. Like, it got a lot of pop. It got like what kind of what Karrion Kross said in that pipe bomb, how WWE is sacrificing storylines for viral moments. And this is something that I talked about too earlier this year when I was like, look, if you're going to break up the New Day, you're going to break them up, it needs to be great. They recently won the WWE, World Tag Team Championships, obviously, kudos, congratulations. But now what's going to happen next? In the tag team division, that's absolutely struggling. I feel like it does kind of need to mirror SmackDown, where Raw needs about 2 or 3 more teams to make it legit. At least 1,010%. And I was like, if you have the New Day stay face, I feel like they are more marketable. Now whenever they come out to the ring, fans are booing them. It's kind of like, now it seems like they're kind of wasted pieces of the puzzle, I guess you can say. Maybe, in a couple of weeks or like a month where they do something and I'm like, oh, you know what, I was wrong, which I will admit if it happens. But I hated it. I didn't like the heel turn because I was like, are they literally just having that pop that's going to, be the New Day for about like 1 to 2 months. And then on your 3rd month, you're like, okay, now what do we do with these guys? As baby faces, you can have them, be anywhere. You could have had Kofi win, the Intercontinental Championship. You could have had Xavier win the United States Championship. And the fans would have been behind him. And, the whole New Day thing with the pancakes and the bootios, very, very, the fans loved it. They loved it 1,010%. Now they don't get to have it because they wanted, they wanted them to kick Big E out of New Day, and I thought it was stupid. Like, they are World Tag Team Champions. I feel like this year they really kind of need to, set the tone here. Next, I got Jey Uso, the new World Heavyweights Champion. Not against Jey Uso. I love, respect Jey Uso. Him winning the Royal Rumble was a little, it was shocking. It was shocking 1,010%. But now you have Jey Uso holding the title. And, that match with Gunther, didn't really live up to potential of a lot of wrestling fans. I'm not the only one. The way he tapped out Gunther just wasn't really all that great. Now Jey Uso all by himself, the Yeet Man. He's over with the WWE audience, so putting the belt around him obviously, makes sense. And he does have the skills. He definitely does possess the in-ring skill shape that he could, use to have a successful title run. But if this guy loses the belt in like 2 to 3 months, I got to be honest, this title reign will probably be one of the ones to kind of forget. Will Jey hold it to the next WrestleMania? I got to be honest, all signs turn to no, point toward no. Who could take the belt off of, I feel like to make this, and I talked about it earlier, of this Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker regime kind of come. Are they going to be the next evolution? You have Seth Rollins as Triple H, and Ric Flair as Paul Heyman, and Braun Breaker is is Batista, and I don't know. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. I feel like Jey Uso definitely, like I said, he's great inside the ring. Keep showing us what you have, kid. I feel like, let's just do it. Next, I got, another Bloodline member. I got Jakob. Jakob Fatu. I was talking about it during my SmackDown review. I feel like he will lose the United States Championship because of Solo Sikoa, either at Backlash or heading up towards Saturday night's main event. The fans want to see the Solo Sikoa, Jakob Fatu feud more than a United States Championship run at this time. In the future, put the belt around Jakob. We'll love it. 1,010%. I would love to see Jakob Fatu hold the championship. And, now he's, like you saw it on SmackDown, seems like he's kind of stepping away from the family. Tongaloa injured, Tamatonga injured. And, now he kind of needs to stand up on his own 2 feet. So right now this feud with Solo Sikoa would ultimately make sense. But then you can have Solo, much like what Solo did to Roman Reigns. You could have Solo be absolutely ignorant, like totally obnoxious, to the point where fans will warm up to Jakob Fatu more than they actually already have had. So, that could be a plan that WWE is ultimately setting up for. I feel like it'd be great, but I would like to see Jakob Fatu do a lot of great things this upcoming year. Dominic Mysterio wins the the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. So many different suitors. Finn Balor, I feel like is underrated and deserves a title. Penta, up and coming, he's successful in it himself right now. Just him being in WrestleMania is, super badass, and the things that he does on Monday Night Raw from week to week is, kind of already, Penta's, he's cool, he's good, man. Braun Breaker, I feel like will emerge into the World Heavyweight Championship picture, but him aligning with Seth Rollins makes me think that maybe that's on a delay, and it looks like Seth Rollins might be the next one to challenge Jey Uso. Because Gunther, he's taking some time off. He will not be invoking a rematch. Well, maybe he will. Maybe he will get a rematch. But he's not going to win. He's not going to win. Jey Uso is going to hold the championship. So then a lot of people are like, okay, so what's next? For Dominic Mysterio, finally winning singles gold. He is the leader of the Judgment Day. WWE tailor making their storyline around Dominic Mysterio's Intercontinental Championship run. So now, you have JD come back, Carlito. Finn Balor seems like he's on the outside looking in at the moment. I feel like they'll finally create this feud that we've been waiting for a pretty long time. We'll see Dirty Dominic Mysterio taking on Finn Balor. Loser leaves the Judgment Day. I feel like that'll be a great storyline that happens on draft night. And then after that, Finn Balor gets drafted to SmackDown and maybe, create a little buzz there. I got my 7th and last superstar. I got Logan Paul. Logan Paul, he talks the talk, he walks the walk on WWE. On Monday Night Raw, he's, his promos are a little, it takes a while for the wheels to spin, but when they do, it's awesome. It's cool. In the ring, he's phenomenal. And it's kind of, play on words. Obviously, he beat AJ Styles, obviously, with Karrion Kross's, interference or distraction. But Logan Paul, always wants, he says it on his Impulsive podcast. He said it when he was talking to Michael Cole, how I'm getting some going away heat from the fans. I feel like they still kind of see me as an outsider, and I'm not confirming nor denying that information. I feel like what makes Logan special is his ability to be determined to go out there and grab what you want. Him and his brother started a YouTube channel. You can think of it as shortcutting all you want. But at the end of the day, he wanted to do something. He went out there. His brother's doing boxing. Logan Paul, total superstar, has his own podcast now. He's gifted. He's talented. He has what it takes to be a superstar. You need to give this guy the Money in the Bank briefcase. You really do. And I know this upcoming Money in the Bank, actually it's going to be in Los Angeles, which is pretty cool. But now you have him in this predicament where you got to pull the trigger. You have to pull the trigger or else this guy's still just in WWE running amok on Monday Night Raw. He's a troll. A lot of people compare him to, he's just trolling around. And that's not what he needs right now. He's not a part-timer. He's not featured on Raw every week where he should be. He should be wrestling matches, at least 2 or 3 times a month. At least. And we're not really getting that right now with Logan Paul. We're not. Maybe he's the next Paul Heyman guy. I'm not too sure. Maybe. But I feel like with Logan Paul winning the Money in the Bank briefcase, he would be one of the best heel champs of all time. He cashes in on Jey Uso that same night. Bam. Jey Uso has a nice little reign. Yeah, Jey Uso's a main eventer. He's a World Heavyweight Championship holder. Logan Paul comes in. Cheap way to win. Kind of the way a lot of people thought. The way he came into WWE. Having shortcuts. It just plays to the narrative so much, and, it needs to happen. I feel like obviously you will see in the Money in the Bank, you'll see Roman Reigns competing. You'll see Seth Rollins probably. You'll see CM Punk running it back. And I don't want to see any of those guys hold the Money in the Bank briefcase. I got to be honest, I really don't. I feel like their time, the Money in the Bank briefcase last year with Drew McIntyre was wasted, and it just, I don't know. It's just they need to pull a trigger on Logan Paul. He needs to continue to be phenomenal. So we, can find out, if he's going to stick around WWE or not, because it'd be terrible if he left, and I would hate that. All right, we talked about the men's pressure cooker post-WrestleMania. Now we are going to talk about the women. So grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, and join me here in about 25 seconds. So hey, do not go anywhere. And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here at Eric Rodriguez every Monday night live on the GSMC Sports Network, talking about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling, 8 p.m. every time. Make sure you guys Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show so you guys can get notifications when we publish videos and go live. Also, make sure you guys send in your chats. I want you guys to absolutely relentlessly sound off in the chat. I want to know what you guys are thinking. I want to know what you guys want to talk about. 1,010%. Don't be shy. There's no such thing as a bad chat. Don't worry. No one's going to grill you. No one's going to roast you. No one's going to call you stupid or anything like that. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love and cherish our fans. We believe in hustle, loyalty, and respect. I'm just kidding. No, you can't say that now because John Cena's a bad guy. No, I'm just kidding. You can still kind of say that. But we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. 1,010%. Definitely respect. I feel like life is all about respect, and I don't want to go off into a tangent of Eric philosophies on how to be a good person. But just don't be a Richard. I'm just kidding. No, moving on. Okay, so we have women's post WrestleMania pressure cooker. Drop in the chat which women you feel like in wrestling has the most pressure to do good this year. Like I said, I kind of compare WrestleMania to like the Super Bowl, like the NFL. It's wrestlers, we don't have an off season, but we basically go into the next season. So this 2025-2026 season heading up to WrestleMania 42. If you have some women you want to sound off in the comment section who kind of need to show the world and need to show the wrestling community, or prove it to themselves that they can be a top tier superstar. They can hold the Women's Intercontinental Championship, United States, WWE World Championship. So let's go and start off with Becky Lynch. I know Becky just came back. I get it. Being a successful author. She's a busy girl. Started a family. Nothing against that. But she was expected to come back the Monday Night Raw on Netflix. There's so many times where a lot of people were thinking that she was going to come back. Something happens to Naomi at Elimination Chamber. They need a replacement because Jade took her out before the match. Bam! Becky Lynch's music goes off. That could have been that could have worked. But Becky Lynch waits until WrestleMania, which is so it's cliche, and nothing bad about it. But you made the fans wait this much. You win the World Tag Team Championships with Lyra Valkyria, drop them the next day back to Liv and Raquel, and then you turn your back on Lyra. I thought maybe this should have happened at WrestleMania where, Becky, they should have lost the match, and then Becky, out of frustration, turns on Live or there, be like, I'm coming after your bloody Intercontinental Champ. I can't do a Scottish accent, or Irish, I'm sorry. Those who are Irish watching this, I'm so sorry. No, but moving on. So I feel like Becky Lynch, if you're going to make us wait this long, or if WWE is going to make us wait this long, then you got to make it worth something. And Becky Lynch, totally successful, totally amazing inside the ring. She's a WWE Future Hall of Famer for sure. But something's got to give. Becky Lynch on this list of who needs to cook during the 2025-2026 season. And I got Tiffany Stratton. That match with Charlotte Flair, it was decent, but the whole time it seemed like Charlotte had to hold her hand. Had to, wait for her to pick her spots, had to, communicate more times often than not. And, this narrative that, I'm the next Charlotte Flair, this and the other, your divorces, this and that, it's painting Tiffany Stratton as this absolute, you're coming off as like, you're a bad B. Like, you know what I mean? Now you're kind of in this persona where you're going to talk your crap. You're going to do heelish things. But then again, you still got to appeal at the babyface factor of it. And Tiffany could do it. She's young, she's talented. Looks like Jade's knocking on her door. Nia Jax, Nia Jax came after her before, so I'm not really stoked about seeing Nia Jax come after Tiffany Stratton. To be honest, I'm kind of over it. Jade, I kind of thought Jade would, go after the Women's United States Championship first, and then that could be that. And then maybe eventually jump on into WWE Women's Championship status. But you defeat Charlotte Flair, which WWE wanted. They wanted Tiffany to be the face of the women's division on SmackDown. That is a heavy burden to hold. Like I said, great inside the ring. But, this 2025, 2026, heading into WrestleMania 42, I want to see great things from Tiffany Stratton. I do. I feel like at this point we're kind of owed it. Next we got Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair has been flirting with a heel turn that we haven't seen it yet. She broke her a couple of fingers in that match with Io Sky and Rhea Ripley for that Women's World Heavyweight Championship. So Lord only knows how long she's going to be on the shelf for. I kind of didn't like how Naomi was the only one to blame for the attack on Jade. I felt like, Bianca being a part of it would have been a lot better of a storyline. Having Bianca take on Jade at WrestleMania 41 would have been more of a pop. But, they're not turning Bianca Belair heel so fast, and I want to know why. That's why she's in a pressure cooker. WWE has to show us, the wrestling fandom, why Bianca Belair, why they have not pulled the trigger on Bianca Belair, just going absolutely nuts and being a heel. It's been long enough. It's Tiffy time now. No, but I want to see Bianca Belair turn heel. I want to see it done right, and I feel like it will be. Maybe they're letting it stew a little bit. Sometimes the best stews, sometimes it takes time. Those who grill, through a smoker, throw a rack of ribs in there, or like a beef roast. You let that thing, the slower the longer the better. Fall off the bone meat. Who doesn't want that? And maybe that's eventually what we will see with Bianca Belair. But as of right now, it really honestly seems like, WWE is literally, it seems like they're kind of dropping the ball on this. So I definitely want to see Bianca Belair do better. Nia Jax, like I said, returned. Feud with Tiffany Stratton again. Come on, we've seen this already before. Why is this happening? I know she didn't go to Monday Night Raw for Io Sky because I feel like Monday Night Raw will be a safe haven for a lot of these young, talented NXT young women superstars to go up there, like Stephanie Vaquer, maybe Julia, like Roxanne Perez. So who else are we gonna have Nia Jax feud with? Tiffany Stratton. And during her rematch, where Candice LeRae actually did get involved and cost Nia Jax the match via disqualification. And instead of Nia Jax getting upset at Candice LeRae, like she gives her like a hug and a high five, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you should be super upset that this is your rematch for the WWE Women's Championship. I feel like at Backlash we'll probably get a triple threat match between Jade, Tiffany, and Nia. And then maybe that's when you kind of have things go off with Bianca and Jade. Or, because it feels like whenever Nia Jax is in any kind of title picture, she's always kind of not been the placeholder, because that sounds kind of mean. because, every single time she's that championship run, I feel like she's been robbed. And I feel like she has, been kind of, done wrong a little bit, done a little bit dirty. But, she's a star. She could definitely win the championship back from Tiffany Stratton. But that seems kind of pointless at this moment. But, Nia Jax still in the pressure cooker for 2025 to 2026. Next, we have the beautiful Madness Julia. She comes back from an injury, which turns out, according to reports, that she was injured, but then, she wasn't really injured, but then she was kind of nursing an injury, and she didn't want to get injured more. She drops the Women's NXT Championship to Stephanie Vaquer. Vaquer becomes a double champion. Vaquer vacates the North American Championship. The ladder match happens at NXT Stand and Deliver. Bam! New champion Sol Ruca, and also the WWE Women's Speed Champion, which is which is kind of crazy. Which makes you think that WWE was not prepared for what would happen to Julia if she ever got injured, which kind of reflects a little negatively there. But I feel like Julia this upcoming year, if she wants to be a star in WWE. And obviously, nobody can foretell an injury. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not trying to be like, oh, she got injured, so that destroys her credibility. She's not a champion. She could never be champion. No, I'm not saying that. But the fact that she has to bounce back and maybe regain that NXT championship or do something on Monday Night Raw, yeah. But that's a lot of wrestling fans. That's what they want to see with Julia. Julia on the NXT roster right now. It's great. It's very great and all, but she belongs on Raw. She belongs on Monday Night Raw, plain and simple. Roxanne Perez, also Raw, maybe SmackDown. Right now you have that core with Vaquer, Zarya, Grace. I feel like eventually they will have Masha Slamovich, drop the TNA World Women's Championship against somebody. She actually retained against Tessa on Sunday, which kind of makes I'm like, it would have been a nice spot to kind of have her drop the title. Then you see Masha in NXT. Also the draft coming up. Are they going to draft TNA superstars? Is Joe Hendry going to be the first ever TNA superstar to be drafted on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown? And it's very he's very marketable. You saw that pop with him and Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Why would you not pick Joe top 3? But maybe WWE's waiting to further on this partnership with TNA, which by all means could be beneficial. But if you want to make TNA eventually, I feel like it will be kind of absorbed into like a WWE kind of status quo. And, you will start seeing a lot more WWE stars on TNA. Now, I'm not trying to say the superstars on NXT, like Tatum Paxley, Gigi Doling, the Meta Girls, Charlie Dempsey, the No Quarter Catch Crew, Fraxium. I'm not trying to say, those people are low level and, them going to TNA isn't like bringing top stars to, to the Anthem sports promotion. I just feel like, it would, you don't really see, you saw Trick on Rebellion, that was pretty badass. You saw Oba a little bit. So, SmackDown or Raw superstars, I can imagine the pop with that. That would be amazing. But I don't know. Obviously, in the eyes of WWE, they see TNA as kind of like a, not like a baby sister company, but, like NXT, like a developmental kind of thing. But, there's a lot of established stars on TNA. I enjoy watching TNA. 1,010%. But overall, Julia, I want to see her cook in the 2025-2026 season. Jade Cargill as well. She's in the pressure cooker. A wrestler from AEW coming to WWE. Obviously, WWE has been foretold, has been basically, written in stone. But as of during the Triple H Paul Levesque era, I guess he's cut down superstar appearances and wrestling moments, also live events by like 50%. So, AEW, Jade Cargill, she said in an interview that she would be, she would probably wrestle, kind of be there maybe 2 days a week tops. And then she comes to WWE, a more demanding schedule. And, she pairs with Bianca Belair, winning the Women's World Tag Team Championships, which is all gravy, baby. It's all cool. But everybody wanted to see her as a single star. When she came into the Royal Rumble, eliminating Charlotte Flair, eliminating Nia Jax, and then you're going to make her into the tag team division. She was written off through an injury. Obviously, she was thrown through a windshield of an Escalade. Neither here nor there. But no, in all seriousness, I feel like Jade maybe not really fully prepared for what it takes what it entails to be a WWE superstar. Obviously, when she was written off for wrestling, she was, taking time off because she's used to that. With Tony Khan, she was used to, she was kind of used to that ultimate, behavior. Not behavior, that's the wrong word. She was accommodations. She was used to those accommodations. Triple H, Paul Levesque, he's very mutual respect kind of guy. Not like Vince McMahon with rule with an iron fist. He wants the superstars to overall kind of reflect and kind of give their own storylines and characters based on, what's inside them. What gets them ticking. What do you want to be? And, Jade kind of taking some time off, I was like, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. But now that she's back on SmackDown, I want to see her do better. She has to win a championship this year. I'm going to say it. If she doesn't win the championship this year, I got to be honest, talent wasted. Something needs to happen, and hopefully it does. And she has all the skills in the world to do it, so why not put the championship on her? Last but not least, Chelsea Green recently losing the WWE Women's United States Championship to Zelina Vega on SmackDown. I feel like if anybody could stay relevant after losing a title, it's got to be Chelsea Green. But much like Logan Paul, I want to see her win the women's. She would be an amazing Miss Money in the Bank. Honestly, I'm looking at the superstar. I don't want to see Becky win it. I don't want to see Roxanne Perez. I don't want to see Julia win it. I don't want to see Bayley win it. I don't want to see Nia Jax. I basically the only person I want to see holding this briefcase is somebody that can actually like represent what the briefcase represents. There, anytime cash in. You could look your opponent dead straight in the eye and be like, I want to match this and that and the other. Here's my Money in the Bank briefcase. And some people have done that in the past, but also, the Money in the Bank briefcase is, look at what happened with Edge. Seth Rollins. Rollins wins the title. And he stomps Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns to pick up the 1, 2, 3. And I feel like if Chelsea Green wins the championship that way, that would be so badass. That would be so cool. I would not, I don't want to see anybody else holding this women's Money in the Bank briefcase besides Chelsea Green. But obviously, that's my opinion, 1,010%. But this year, I feel like they kind of keep her character relevant. But she has been on SmackDown. She's been on NXT, numerous times. So she's she's going to take some time off. But then again, if she does, it would kind of hurt the Secret Harvest like Piper Niven and Alba Fire. But if anybody can come back and bounce back from dropping the title, it's going to be Chelsea Green. But so I kind of have her right now in the pressure cooker. Ultimately, too, because I'm a huge fan. I would not want to see her fizzle out and eventually get released from WWE. Would not want that whatsoever. Chelsea Green is a gem. She's awesome. You love to hate her. Her fans, you love to love her. You got to stick by you live or die, by Chelsea. So, it is what it is. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. That's it for me tonight. Remember to follow us on Twitter /X, or whatever you like to call it, Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook for more content and updates. And remember, we have all these other shows, like I mentioned before. We have the GSMC Football Podcast with my man, Matt Quinn. We have Dead Ball Sports with Nolan. We also have Jake talking college football. We also have, Jeremy with the Down by Contact Sports podcast. We have all these amazing, passionate podcasters. The NBA playoffs are heating up. Make sure you join Marab with the NBA basketball, GSMC basketball podcast. Sorry, excuse me. And, definitely don't miss being a part of GSMC sports history. Be a part of our bloodline. I give you the Eric Rodriguez guarantee that you will never, ever, 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 ever regret subscribing to such an amazing company who has one goal in mind: to make sure you guys consume all the amazing sports content that you guys love so damn much. And it's free. So why not do it? You have nothing to lose. Like I said, keep an eye out on those on my Monday Night Raw review. I'm going to watch it actually right now. Have not checked a single shred of social media, so I'm going to go in there absolutely blind, which I love. So I'm gonna watch that. Make sure you guys check back for some more awesome Wrestling Laureate content. Have an amazing, safe, lovely week. Stay beautiful, but most importantly, I love you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of